What's up everyone, Lance Hedrick here, and today we're talking all about tampers. Yes, today's video is all about tampers. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while because there is now a plethora of different options on the market, and I don't even have nearly enough to be representative of what's on the market today. But what I did do is I ensured that I collected a couple of tampers that I thought were representative of other tampers. We had some really cheap little plastic tampers that are obviously not great. They're not very fun to use. They have a bottom that is not very consistently level. There's a line in the middle and it doesn't feel good. It's not fun to push down, hard to create enough pressure with it. We get rid of that. We have kind of the tamper that's been around for ages, which is a stainless steel bottom, a wooden handle. You see the baristas. When you're using a tamper like this, you are apt to go in any random direction possible, especially if you're doing the whole tippy toe thing. Do not get up on your tiptoes and try to go crazy hard, because you're going to introduce a lot of different potential angles on the tamp. And of course, we need a super level tamp for as even of an extraction as possible. I've been tamping manually for a decade, so numbers from me are not going to be representative of, the typical home barista. So I did not take numbers using this either. Then we get to the decent tamper. Now this is the first self-leveling tamper I ever got. This is the version 3 of it. Whenever you put this in, this rim sits on the basket so that when you push down, it pushes through that and forces you to be as level as possible as you're making your tamp. So I did include this inside of the testing. We also have the happy tamper. Now this is roughly the same thing. You have a self-leveling tamper, but it's a palm tamper. So a lot of people just prefer doing a little push like that. It allows you to use some of the bigger muscles up here where you're just kind of pushing down. And it doesn't matter which angle you're pushing because, again, it's self-leveling. So you can switch out the base for kind of a convex one. And then also it comes with an extra flat base. Next up, we have the force tamper, which kind of took the world by storm, especially in the barista competitions. And that's because this one was also self-leveling, but it was piston enacted. So on the inside, there's a little piston and a spring, and whenever you come down, there's a little Muhammad Ali inside, doosh, doosh, like that. Woo! And this comes with a few different bases as well. Flat rippled base, you get just a flat base. You get the topsy-turvy curvy base, and then you get a topsy-turvy curvy ripple base. These are the official names that I just made up. And then finally we have the Bose tamper. Now I did not include this in testing, though it is my favorite tamper because it's automatic. You place it onto the portafilter, you just twist it, it goes down and back up. Nice. I love this one, but because it's just another flat tamper and you can calibrate it to whatever weight you're wanting, I did not end up testing this. So in the end, what I tested was the decent tamper because it was just a flat bottom, and I tested the force tamper with all 4 bases. Now, I did not end up testing the happy tamper. I did start testing it, but it has such a tight tolerance with the head that if there were any grounds on the side of the walls at all and I would tamp, it would get stuck and then it would unseat my puck and it made a mess, and it just was a little frustrating when I was doing lots of shots in a row, because obviously I pulled a lot of shots to test these. What I did is I dialed in a coffee, 18 grams in, 40 grams out in 30 seconds. Now I have down in the caption below some data from Michael Cooper, Quantitative Cafe, that I think is really interesting. He talks about compression of the puck. Anyway, I found out without a doubt that double tamping my coffees gives me a bit more consistency. So that's what I did with all of these tampers. So I started by dialing in with the decent tamper, and then I would pull shots one by one by one by one by one, and then I'd go back in order to give kind of confusion so that I can reduce as much noise as possible. I would go through and pulled shots and recorded the TDS, I calculated extraction yield, etc., etc., etc. With the curved bases, there was a significant drop in extraction yield. About 2 to 2.5% drop with a 99% statistical significance. Granted, the consistency was not terrible, especially on just the curved base, but the extraction did dip. I had Dr. Jonathan Gagne help me out crunching the numbers, as he always does, very helpful. Now, whenever we look at the flat bases, it looks like the most consistent and the highest was the decent tamper. Now, the reason I think there was a big difference between the decent tamper and then say the force tamper is the decent just uses a spring and it uses your force alone, whereas a force tamper uses a piston. This piston inside at stock calibration is potentially unseating the puck or disturbing the puck in some way, causing it to be a more fluctuating extraction yield. Now, that being said, I didn't try too many other settings. I use it at stock calibration, which is 10 kilograms of force. I did go down to 7.5 kilograms of force and was getting similar results. That doesn't mean that I couldn't go lower and it would be different, but my fear lower than that is it won't compress the puck enough, which I will show in a future video, the issues if you don't have enough compression, but that would be too many shots to pull all in one experiment while keeping a high quality of data by using the same batch of coffee same day, doing all in the same sittings. So you might be wondering why I even thought the rippled base would be a good idea. Well, the reason is because when the water enters the bed, it's flat, right? And you have it polished off. So it's difficult for the water to really have a place to enter. So you want a place for it to kind of be able to dive in. And so the ripples, in my mind, theoretically, create the kind of those areas where the water can dive in, potentially giving you a bit more consistent extraction. People complain about donut shots, which is when an extraction happens around the edge before it covers the whole bottom of your naked basket. People say that's over extracting the edges. So what they've done is they've created a convex tamper that will tamp the middle lower and the outsides higher. And what this allows is for water to kind of come to the middle a bit more sooner, so it's more level on the bottom. And because optics are everything, people think that when they see what looks to be an even extraction, it therefore must be an even extraction. But what we have learned from our friend Stefan Ribbe from Belgium in the Decent Espresso group, referencing his cookie cutter experiment, whenever you have donut shots, the edges are still actually under extracted. He would cut the puck using a cookie cutter and would measure the remaining solubles in every layer, and it turns out that the least extracted part of the puck was actually the edges, even in donut shots. I always see people online saying the #1 early upgrade you should make is a naked basket because you can eliminate channeling. No, that's absolutely not true. If anything, you're going to confuse yourself on what is and what isn't channeling. Other than maybe spurts, which definitely could be channeling, it could also be the product of a ground stuck in one of the holes, and so it's blocking part of the aperture, and so it causes a high pressure, small area for the espresso to exit looking like a channel. But anyway, I'm digressing. Let's continue back to where we were at. So this convex tamper has kind of, made waves in certain areas, and some people swear by it, but in reality, it greatly reduced our extraction yield, which means it's decreasing the extraction efficiency. There's no way around it. If we are doing the same grind size, the same pressure of tamping, and we're getting good consistency, it is literally just extracting lower, which means it has worsened the efficiency of the extraction properties. When we're trying to chase consistency, it seems from the data that a flat base tamper is the best way to go. Possibly the ripple is fine if it's flat, but in reality, when you look at the data, there could be some fluctuations there, but it's not as significant as some of the other conclusions we have drawn in this video today. I do still love the force tamper. I do think with a flat bottom on it, and if you lower the calibration a bit, that the consistency is good enough to make sure that you're not going to have any types of wild shots. Now, if the Bose tamper were infinitely charged, this is what I would use every single day. But the reality is, it dies really quickly, and I forget to charge it all the time. So I end up using the decent tamper for most all of my espressos. It's always what I've been gravitated towards, and it kind of furthers that proof now. The purpose of this data is to show that just the conventional flat bottom tamper, when you double tamp it, is going to give you kind of the optimal consistency from shot to shot, at least with the tampers currently on the market. So if you want to go ahead and get that Normcore spring tamper you've been seeing, or you want the little one with the thumb press on it, whatever it is, even if you want to do manually, then you just have the inconsistency of human error. But I would highly recommend, doesn't matter what price, doesn't matter what brand, as long as it is a good self-leveling tamper with a flat base that fits your basket pretty well. It doesn't need to be crazy tight, but fits the basket pretty well. That is going to give you your most consistent results. I hope you appreciated the data collection in this video, the nerdiness of it. I hope that the conclusion was easy enough to follow along with. Please consider hitting the like and subscribe if you enjoy the amount of work I put into this. If you want to, catch my new stuff as it comes out, I have a Patreon below that you should check out where I give away a lot of stuff through competitions. We have like 40 machines that we're currently putting up for competition over the next year or so. And also check out my second YouTube account where I just essentially do a lot of coffee rants. It's a lot of fun. Other than that, I hope that you brew something tasty today. And cheers.